a passion of mine. Any time I spend outside, out in our territory, is always a good time. Could be the ugliest weather, the nicest weather, it doesn't matter to me. We enjoy what we do. We love looking after our land. It's the whole thing.
It's a very healing process, being out here, being in touch with the land. So healing, especially when you haven't done it. And you start to feel like you're at home. Where this job has taken me to places I had never been personally. And it felt like home as soon as I got there, you know, like I had been there before. And I think it's just being in touch with the land.
It's a real privilege to be here in the Tla'amin traditional territory and see all these fjords and all these wildlife and murrelets. My name is Remy and I'm a biologist and British Columbia projects coordinator for Birds Canada. What I love about working with the Tla'amin Nation is all this sharing of knowledge, this experience with all the storytelling. I love to hear all about their history and their traditions and their legends. And we also have this common passion for nature. So this is really, you know, finding these common grounds and sharing all these knowledge and stories.
I believe there's a name for the marbled murrelet, and it's mauch. It's very guttural, the sound. I have a recording from my grandmother Elsie Paul. She's 90. I explained what the bird looked like, and she said, "Oh, the little tiny ducks that dive really fast." And I said, that sounds pretty close to what, you know. So she said it was mauch. I wish I could pronounce it like she can, but it's quite guttural. Our people use the marbled murrelet. This is what I was taught. When you see those birds, the bait is deeper. Like you fish deeper than, you know, when you follow seagulls around. That was our GPS, our sounder back in the day. Follow the birds, you know, you'll find the bait. And those diving ducks or mauch were to fish deeper, and it seemed to work. So I never knew the name of marbled murrelet till this year, but I knew how to find deeper fish by using the bird.
The Marbled Murrelet is this small North Pacific seabird that lives mostly in coastal waters and that can be found in small groups, usually alone or in pairs. They have been listed as threatened under the Federal Species at Risk Act, and in British Columbia they are blue listed, which means that they are a species of special concern. The murrelets love these fjords and sheltered waters because they find an abundance of small fish that they mostly prey on.
To monitor populations of marbled murrelet, observers perform bird counts from a boat. During the early morning, the boat slowly follows the shoreline along a transect. And this transect is essentially the same one during each repeated survey and across seasons. All the individuals seen within 200 meters from each side of the boat are recorded, along with their plumage category, distance from boat, and location.
Contrary to most seabirds that nest in dense colonies on offshore islands or cliffs, they nest in the old-growth forest. They will lay one single egg on a cushion of moss on a large white branch at the top of an ancient tree. And it's very hard to find where they nest. It's very challenging because they spend most of their time on the water, diving and hunting for fish, small fish. It's only when the darkness comes that they will silently travel to visit their nesting location to feed their chick. And that's why the biggest threat that they are facing is the logging of the old-growth forests. But they are also vulnerable to any threat to their marine environment, like pollutions or entanglement in nets. And that's why we're here with the nations, is to try to survey murrelets and then later on try to find nests and prevent habitat loss.
Hey, my name is Jennifer Kester. I am the GIS specialist for Tla'amin Nation. So I do all of the map work and all of the data collection and programming. So we received funding from SEER, and we realized that we were not experts on marbled murrelets. And so we reached out to Birds Canada to help train us in being able to identify the different birds at their different life stages, to help us document our story in Theodosia and Pendrell Sound. The end kind of game or goal for Tla'amin is really just to continue to monitor the species, to be aware of how human activity is or isn't affecting it. And once we have some of those answers, we can figure out how we want to protect it and include it in our management planning going forward.
For the most part, it's about protecting something that's endangered, right? We didn't really know they were endangered because there were so many of the murrelets around. Like Bryce said, we used them as fish finders. We see them every time we're out in the water. But knowing more about that makes us want to help, right? We want to help preserve that, keep them around. But in turn, they also help us. Because if we find their nests, if we find the locations where they live, we can protect that too. So the old growth forests, and just our territory's been logged so much. It would be nice to see some of it stay.
Getting to show the people from Birds Canada all of this, like our territory, sense of pride, want to show people this, and how we want to keep it and how we want to reverse certain things that have been done to our land over the past 200 years, and even longer. But yeah, I think it's the taking them out on the land and showing them what we get to do and what we want to do going forward to healing this place.